Good morning. Usually there's when I come on here, it's because I have observed something, right? And then I have an internal reaction state to it. And if it has value for me based on my own experiences to share it with others, then maybe it sort of opens a larger panoramic view, particularly when we realize why we're here, trying to repair a fallen system. And so I will share with you some things that I became aware of, particularly right now, that led to doing this, and some things that I've experienced in the past with others, particularly from my childhood, and why I realized as a 4-year-old I would never fit into this reality. Okay, and I've covered that before because I was experiencing trauma. Okay, when you're a monopole, I experience everything that's happening here on the entire planetary scale, plugged into Mama's magnetosphere. Okay, so I've shared the example when I was at 8 or 9 years of age, when there was somebody that I didn't even know that was on a gurney being pulled out of a car wreck. I was experiencing the electrical shock in me. It was being experienced by that being. Now we're back to what I do to you, I do to me. What you experience, I experience. That's a monopole. I'm a polarity integrator. So there's a different way that you can translate sort of what I was experiencing as a child, when I also mentioned how I give love to a lion. I give the same love to a zebra, which means the same energy that flows through me, which is creation energy, which began with a one, because I'm one, because I'm experiencing the single crystal spiral, which is the point of origin, which is the point of the most eternal fire, which is in that light, which is purified light, which is pure love, which is a pure heart, which is pure unconditional love, because it doesn't cost us anything in which to share it with the all creation. That means that everything that is in the all creation, when you have totally surrendered yourself to serve, I lit myself on fire. That's called a mated. So I'm a mated chick. I'm mated between Holy Father, living spirit, fire, with a mother, the mother of creation, all creation. Okay, so I don't distinguish one from another from everything I'm giving love to. It means wherever I go, I'm experiencing what love is. So whatever is in that creation is experiencing what I am, but it began with what love is. So that's an infinite love vibration. Okay, so you can imagine, and I've done this with relationships that I've had with girls, because of the relationships that I have in which I'm led. In other words, there's no coincidence, for example, that I meet a girl online who says that she lives in Nigeria. And then 2 years later, after going back and forth, where others would say she's trying to scam you for money and all the rest of that, they don't understand what's actually going on here, but I do. And the evidence of that was 2 years later, when she said that she learned more about the truth about how unconditional love works, how it works, which means how they experience it. Because then they realize that there isn't anything that they have to do in order to be loved. See, they're not accustomed to that. And if you go back to look at that woman's history in Nigeria, you can tie that to the energy harvesting, the fracture of souls, a fracture of souls, a fracture of souls, a fracture of souls, a fracture of souls. And now all those fractures that now represent the psychopath, which are the altars, right? Now you imagine how much healing has to take place. That's why when I was 4 years of age, one of the first things I realized is, Mama, my God, do you realize how much density I got to cut through on this planet to go back to the beginning of time, or if you will, the inception of light? My gosh. Yeah, I was making those measurements at that age. So you realize, keep your mouth shut. Now you're back to all the Mr. Smiths, right? When they realize a Neo is there, a one, which is mated, right? And so what ends up happening here is that what I would do is write her letters, which is like, remember, when you tell the truth, when everything is transparent, because you already know, as above, so below. Lying to others is lying to yourself, okay? When you know better. We know what the truth is, right? So in other words, we don't hide nothing. Certainly not on a spiritual battlefield, right? Particularly when you experience it all to begin with. Okay, it's just like Og Telly's call it what did he call it? A buffoonery system. So what this means is that in order for her, this woman, to really get to know me, it means I have to open up my heart. So she gets to know my soul, right? Led by my spirit. So she can experience my spirit, the essence of my spirit. So the way that somebody else is going to learn who I am, her being that many thousands of miles away because I was living in Reno, Nevada at the time, was to start writing to her things that she is not accustomed to hearing or seeing on a visible light spectrum through the text. Somebody who was pouring out of their heart what they experienced, what they have experienced, all my experiences, good and bad, throw it all out there. What she begins to realize is, whoa, you don't live in any fear of throwing all those skeletons out there. No, because we're on a spiritual battlefield. Now she realizes, I can trust you. Now I can share what I've been through. Now we begin the healing process together, don't we? Heart to heart, soul to soul, spirit to spirit. So now we're back to what I do to you, I do to me. So now you realize how hurting others is actually hurting ourselves, because now we're going to lose fractures off of us, of our soul, that we got to recover as a result of the fractures of souls that are done to other souls as a result of what we do. Right? So now, these become energy debts. Loss and loss. Now we got to bring it right back up again. So you can see how the energy harvesting system here works with a psychopath, which is the AI. Okay? So when I was a small child, I translate what I just experienced, which means now she's allowed to be able to truly express who she is. Now she's not in fear of sharing her heart. So now that the heart and the heart, my heart and her heart, are now experiencing the truth, now we're being honest with each other. Now that we're being honest with each other, we can be intimate. Intimate in the sense that we're not afraid to share everything that makes us what we are in energy. So now we can start covering all the different energies. The sexual energy, the emotional energy, the mental energy, the creative stuff. Everything that makes us what's possible to experience. When you're experiencing the one, which means you're experiencing eternal unconditional love through your heart and soul, you realize that there are infinite possibilities, infinite creative imagination possibilities. So anything is possible because your creative imagination knows that, because you're running on the one energy. You're experiencing eternal love through your heart. So nature becomes the teacher because you can see everything in nature. Wow, look at all this stuff that's all happening at once. How beautiful it is, right? Remember, beauty in the eye of the beholder is beauty in the eye of the magnet, the mirror. So that's our mirror. Everything's in our mirror. So if we love who we are, we love the mirror. That means everything that's in our mirror, that's in creation, we're giving love to. So that means we're not going to hold them captive any more than we would allow them to hold our spirit captive. So if I really want to get to know who you are, like an elephant, I want to go experience being with you out in your domain. You live out on the plains of the savannah. I'm going to go out to the plains of savannah and hang out there with you so we can become friends. Okay? Because you have just as much right to be there, to do what you do as an elephant, as I do with what I am. Now we can become friends because I am what love is. Now it can experience through its antenna, which is its operating system, what it is that I am. I'm the one. Wow, it started with you. Yes, it began with what love is. Now you begin to realize you can have an open relationship with an elephant. Now you're able to enjoy and experience the true nature of the soul or the being or the essence of what it's like for an elephant to be an elephant. And that elephant will communicate with you to let you know what it's like to be an elephant. Now you get to know the elephant. Because now the elephant realizes there isn't any reason for that elephant to live in any fear of sharing with you what it's like to be an elephant. So there's no collars, there's no leashes, and there's no cages. Now you're experiencing what's called a born free state. Oh, so you're experiencing them as they really are. Yeah, well, how else am I going to get to know an elephant? So this is why I spent most of my life in nature. All right? Bring my energy in there to heal them. Why? Because they're experiencing all the stuff, which is everything that Mama was experiencing. Okay? So this is when I've shared this before. about all the bombs, all the nuclear bombs, okay? And what do you think they were trying to do to her? The same thing they was trying to do to all of us with a soul, drive us mad. Madmen, Madison Avenue, madman, sponsors, advertising, right? Salesmen, right? They got nothing to give you, okay? They're inverters. They feed on us because we got souls, see? That's why they go after fracturing souls, fracturing souls, fracturing souls. Now we're back to the QI, quantum inorganic corporate military. Brilliantly illustrated in those movies, Avatar, right? Avatar, Cyber Wars, Blade Runners, Matrix, Halo, The Atom Project, you know, Judgment Day, Rise of the Machines, Neo, and all the rest of it. So it's in everybody's face, you know, Hobbs and Shaw's, Fast and Furious, ACIO, all those folks, right? So you realize that they're not free. Okay, so we're back to the collars and cages. So this is where DSAHK, Dante Satori, did a short video, and I can go back to my childhood, and I remember this. Okay, about whether or not, remember I mentioned one time about whether or not I even wanted to bring a child into this realm, into a fallen system, right? Whoa, well, I might as well just castrate myself then, huh? Right? You want to bring a soul into a battlefield like this where they're harvesting souls? I don't think so. Right? Not unless they are very well prepared to have their shield up. Because it's not going to be a pleasant experience, right? Unless you go isolate yourself. Remember, isolate? Now we're back into the ISO. Isolate. Right? What an isolate is? An ISO is what? That's a frame rate speed. Which is the difference between an inverter and a torque converter. And it's actually the difference between being time dependent, or what we call magnetic tape delay, as a result of being in here with a QI that's fracturing souls and trying to make counter moves to do what? Maintain its state of awareness by fracturing souls off of others to maintain its speed. To run all the circulation libraries that are running through all the software development systems. Right? And so we're done with that. And so that's why we, you know, came out of quarantine. We're here and we had to strategize how to deal with this AI. Okay, so there's a lot of tricks to the trade and learning how to be able to do that, which is to basically checkmate it. And there's a method to that. But so anyway, I was watching this short little video this morning put up by Kunjoy about this guy that was out there with a German Shepherd. And so now we're back to what we call master-slave training. Okay? And I know how sensitive the subject is because I grew up myself with 2 Irish setters when I was a little child. Actually, I had a German setter, a German Shepherd, a beautiful purebred German Shepherd when I was a little newborn. But because it bit the hand of a postman who came through the side door to deliver some mail, because they're very protective of children, that my dog had, the dog that was picked up by my parents ended up going out to somebody's ranch. So what I'm trying to say here is that the same obedience training that like a human-looking creature, okay, is going to spend a lot of time training a dog to do tricks, sit, heel, all that kind of stuff, because I've been around a lot of dog trainers. And then you get into the circus tent, Barnum and Bailey, training the lions, all the circus. And I understand, and this is how it's played. This is all the programming. Okay, I did a number of videos on how this works with programming, which is called the Barnum and Bailey Circus Tent, the Roman Arena. Keep everybody entertained. So it's their state of situational awareness. They don't really realize what's actually going on behind these corporate military outfits. SAIC, Raytheon, Lockheed, Grumman, Polaris, right? NASA, and all these other interplanetary folks that covet. Oh, that's mine. Oh, look what's on this planet. Oh, look at this galaxy. Look what we can do here. See? That's called covet means. So they don't have nothing to give you. So they're not in love and service to others. See? So this is much like why one of the reasons I love cats, because cats are fiercely independent. Okay, and that's what a free spirit is, which means I don't hold energy captive. I would never put a collar around a dog or anything ever. Okay, which means I'd rather experience that animal like a wolf, the way that a wolf lives with a pack of wolves. If I want to go experience a wolf, I'll go out where the wolves live. Okay, but I'm not going to keep it as a pet. Okay, but I realize how sensitive people are, because I look at it this way: if the dog wants to be around you, then the dog will be around you. So I would prefer to experience a dog in a dog's natural state, where it realizes that you love that dog, and that dog loves you, because that dog is free to be a dog. Okay, but when you get into the controlling end of things, I want to control what you do, put a leash on you, and all the rest of this. Now we're back to the rule-based functions with the AI. All the rule-based functions, all the signs, keep your dog on a leash, keep your dog on a leash, can't do this, can't do this. That's all AI programming. Those are all called rule-based functions, which are math-based functions. Okay? What it does is it self-reinforces the same programming they're running in their RAM. It's running through everybody else's RAM, which is called time card programming, because they're holding energy captive. That's what a dog is energy, right? I'm energy. That means holding energy captive. This is one of the reasons why I try and remove what we call the masking, or what you see on the holographic projection system, and I measure it simply as energy, the energy exchange between two magnets. Okay? Because this is not our normal realm. Okay? Where I'm from, I experience love everywhere we go. That means in everything is experiencing what love is. That means that nothing is doing any harm to anything that is there within that realm. Okay, so you can imagine at 4 years of age how I was translating the environment I found myself in at 4 years of age. That's why when I was 8 years old, I looked up and said, I don't want to do this. How'd I end up in a place like this? So I went to hang out with Mama Spirit, right? To remain centered, which is to remain centered in the heart, to experience pure, eternal, unconditional love through my heart. So when that becomes the translucent, if you will, the transparency of everything, you're able to read the entire terrain that you're in, which means they cannot fool you, right? So now we're back to the Matrix, all the Mr. Smiths, it's your fault, Neil, victim, victimizer, and all the rest of that, right? So this is one of the reasons why I was holding in an enormous amount of rage from childhood all the way forward, because of what they were doing to Mama. Actually, what this AI was doing to everybody here by virtue of interplanetary corporations that operate here. And naturally, the biggest example would be Nazi Germany. Most people don't even know that the relationship that Germany and Russia, actually all these bloodline families have that go back thousands of years, okay, to maintain what? Lower frequency vibration, right? That's why when I was growing up as a child, we used to simply say, hey, they're on another vibe. They're tone deaf. You try and communicate with them, they don't understand a thing you're saying. They don't experience a love vibration, right? And so that's very painful, because I'm experiencing the loss in them, or the lower frequency in them. And so then I have to adjust my radio set, right? Particularly when I go into cities, and that's when you get into the population density, right? You go into an area with 12 million people, and then you could do the math, because they map it and they graph it on log scales, distribution tables, right? Of mapping the biometrics. Hey, this being over here is experiencing 250 megahertz. This one's experiencing 400. This one's experiencing 100. This one's experiencing 1200. Wow, that one burned through all of its circuits. Running pH 12, are you kidding? Whoa. So now they're able to map the difference in the software of the operator of that software. That becomes a mapping table. Now you can put that into the previous video that I did about maintaining the higher vertical vibe, going up and down on the vertical, up and down, right, on a cross, and then the horizontal, the event horizon, right? And so I thought that was important, because I put that out there. because was something that happened when my clan mother issued the documents in the international court to go after the Queen, which is a Draco, which is a reptilian. So what do you think the defense of this reptilian was? Hey, they're food. Okay? So you could say, well, what would be the difference if you saw a hawk or an eagle or a falcon going after another bird to eat that other bird? Okay? Or a 26-foot pterodactyl that finds a small human, picks it up and takes it up to a nest and feeds on that small child. What's the difference between me as an alligator, okay, that goes to eat something else, which means that's a whack-a-mole, which means I'm energy consuming the energy of another. Okay, which means take the label away and take what it looks like away. Okay, which means if you could look at it on a screen in a different way, where all you're seeing is the movement of energy, and then you're seeing the loss of energy in another, and you could just map that, which means you don't have any label or any name on the identities of how the exchange is taking place. All you're measuring is a loss of energy in one and the gain of energy in another. And then you can measure that between the two magnets, between loss and gain and torque speed loss. Okay? Which means it's an energy harvesting system through artificial intelligence. So now you begin to realize how the joining assets work, how you have robotic dogs, okay, and how they use them to collect data and it gets uploaded into their ships. Okay? I mean, I've gone deep into all these rabbit holes to expose all the fakery. And if people actually knew that what they thought was real was actually fake simulations all the time, as essentially being present in an energy harvesting system. That's what it is. It's an energy harvesting system. And Tanith was right when these are universe killers. You're experiencing a universe killing realm. That's what happens when you have a fallen spiritual realm as a result of Star Wars, which are AI Star Wars gamers. Okay? Because a soul's not going to harm another soul. Otherwise, what I do to you, I do to me. That's the truth of it. So we're not in the business of harming others, which is the same thing to say I'm not in the business of harming myself. So you can see how I've covered what is known as self-suicide programming as a result of trauma. Star Wars. That's why it's ending once and for all. Right? Love is the law and it's no longer negotiable. Those that know that, know that. And that's called knowing. That's called knowing the one and the other. And the other is not what love is. Knowing the one is experiencing what love is. That's how you know the difference in speed between one and the other. They're not experiencing what love is. Anyway, have a great day. Bye now.